Back, we're following developments, and out of Tennessee, I want to bring in Jed Babbin. He's former Undersecretary of Defense under President George H.W. Bush. He joins us on the phone. Jed Babbin, good to have you on the phone. Thanks for joining us. Tell me your observations on this terrible shooting yesterday.
Thing that we can expect, I think, fairly frequently. This is the kind of thing that happens when young Muslims get radicalized through various sources, whether it's the internet or their parents or whatever. And it's going to happen again and again and again. What the answers are to it are not at all clear, but I think we have to gain better intelligence about what people are doing in their communities, and there's a lot of resistance to that in the Muslim community because they don't want to cooperate with the FBI.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. We've been having this discussion during the commercial break. Dagan McDowell bringing up a really important point, and that is the idea that these online accounts are even available to these extremists. Now, you say we're trying to gain as much information as possible. Dagan, you made the point, I don't know, the debate is out there. Do we learn more about what's happening by allowing these people to have these accounts and spew out this jihadism? Or should these accounts be shut down?
With Twitter specifically, they do try to shut accounts down. But the head of the director of the FBI, James Comey, had a long discussion about this just literally a few days ago. And the central discussion point in the counterterrorism community is about whether it makes sense to shut down these accounts, or do you then let them operate as a way to gather intelligence. And I want to point out that they're based on some recent cases brought by the FBI. These defendants charged in terrorism-related cases first came to the attention of federal authorities based on their Twitter activity. I'm curious what Jed thinks about that. Like, is it better to let them operate or better to shut the accounts down?
Yeah, Dagan, I'd much rather have them operate, and I'd much rather have everybody concentrating on getting the information from them. And again, we need more cooperation from people in the Muslim community generally, and people, I don't want to I guess I do want to totally disparage your idiot mayor up there in New York. I mean, what he did in taking apart the intelligence branch that was looking into these sorts of things in the Muslim community was absolutely dangerous and stupid. So, you know, we need to combine the real assets of our intelligence community with a bigger effort to get cooperation from the Muslim community.
Yeah, but you make a point about Bill de Blasio. So you say what he's done, you said was idiotic.
Well, I think that's a very polite term for it. I can't use the real terms I want to use on TV and radio.
Yeah, it's unbelievable because it's interesting that you would say you'd rather have these Twitter accounts open because, Jed, what about the fact that there was an encrypted blog? And he said, you know, very clearly to the rest of the Muslim community, you know, you may not get the chance to submit to Allah. Life is short. Submitting to Allah is what you should be doing. I mean, could we have learned or, gotten in front of this tragedy by better reading and identifying that blog and online community chatter? How come it was missed? I mean, you say, yeah, it's good to have these accounts open, but this was missed.
Well, somebody missed the opportunity to get it. I mean, that's really the point. You can't let these guys operate. Well, actually, you have to. You pretty much have to. It's a freedom of speech issue. And the Constitution of the United States requires us to lay off things like that. So what are you going to do? To protect the community, you have to invest in the intelligence assets and operations, not just the assets. You can just have the computer sitting there idle. That does no good. You've got to have people looking into this stuff 24/7. That's what we need to do. That's what de Blasio blocked, and that's the kind of thing the FBI is not getting cooperation from the Muslim community.
Jed, it's Dagan again, but with the activity, let's just say Twitter, but on all social media and online, you have the ability to radicalize so many more people. You have a troubled young person, just as one example, with essentially direct access to a terrorist. And that terrorist is just, to use Jim Comey's words, buzz, 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 buzz. It's a constant feed. And so, but does it cause more people to act out violently because of that kind of access?
Well, I think you're probably right, Dagan. And, you know, again, you're breaking the code here. It's a very subtle point that we can't afford to miss. The real issue here is not Americans expressing themselves. Okay, we can't restrain that. Freedom of speech is what it is, and it has to remain positive in our culture. But the point really comes down to if there are contacts with terrorist people overseas, those you can shut down, those you should shut down. And that's one of the primary targets of NSA, to not only shut those things down, but to find the people overseas and, quite frankly, hit them with a drone strike.
And real quick, what you said about New York, what do you want to see changed, Jed?
Oh, I think electing a new mayor would be a good start, but I think we got to get a police commissioner in there who's allowed to do the job and get every asset in place that used to be there in terms of looking into what's going on in the Muslim community and listening to these people and getting informants and getting intelligence.
Yeah, it's really amazing when you see what has happened actually to New York in terms of crime and in terms of shootings as well. Jed Babbin, good to have you on the program. Thanks very much.
My pleasure.
We will see you soon. Jed Babbin.